So the courage to care is the definition of integrity. Is what you're doing when nobody's looking at you. It's mainly this.
I mean, so many people aren't happy, going to work, and, they're not having fun. And Ray always says, like, why do anything if you can't have fun doing it? I mean, I love the chief fun officer. I call myself a chief joy officer.
Before you can lead your people effectively, you first need to love your people.
Colleagues are brothers, so basically it's and sisters, how do we work it out together and how can we have fun around this? So that's why I'm saying that the role of a good leader sometimes is to be a CFO, a chief fun officer.
I think the next conversation, Pat, is going to be when you move back to Montreal. Ray and I are going to drive out there for a little in-person conversation and experience your cooking. I'm starving right now.
And we don't say you say we. That's the difference too, because you're part of it.
At the heart of our business, whether you in mining or construction or in advertising, it's about people and put people first, but do it sincerely. And I think that's what you've shared with us. So thank you.
Welcome to JOY², Live with Joy. This is the podcast where we get to explore the power of joy, purpose, passion, and fun, and how joy, when practiced intentionally, transforms how we live, work, and lead. I'm your host, Greg De Koker, and I believe that when you live with joy, everything gets better. And I mean everything. And this isn't just about feeling good. It's about unlocking joy as a resource, one that fuels better leadership, meaningful work, and thriving lives. Each week, we share the stories, the insights, and the sparks that ignite more joy, because joy is contagious, it's powerful, and it belongs to all of us. So lean in, stay curious, and let's create more joy together. This is JOY², brought to you by Essentia Group. Welcome back to the JOY², Live with Joy podcast, where we explore the hidden power of joy in leadership, culture, business, and life. I'm your host, Greg De Koker, and today's conversation is a powerful reminder that high performance and humanity are not opposites. In fact, they're deeply connected. This episode is especially exciting because I'm joined once again by my friend, co-host, and title sponsor, Wray Carvelas, CEO of Essentia Group. As many of you know, Ray has helped shape this podcast from the very beginning. And one of the many things I appreciate about him is his ability to build real relationships with extraordinary leaders around the world. And today he's brought one of those leaders to the conversation. Ray, welcome back. I'm excited for our conversation, and I'll hand it over to you to introduce our guest. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Patrick, for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure for me, for the viewers and listeners, to introduce to you a person I admire in the industry, Patrick Godin. Patrick is a 35-year veteran of the mining industry, most recently as the president and CEO of New Gold. Patrick steered the company through a massive free cash flow inflection point, and under his watch achieved record-breaking performance, reaching over $500 million in free cash flow in 2025. And also at the same time, completing the ahead of schedule launch of the new African C-Zone mining project. This period of peak operational discipline culminated in a landmark $7 billion acquisition of New Gold by Coeur Mining. Patrick's track record for building and optimizing mining projects is really unmatched, from his time as the COO of Pretium Resources to his tenure as the CEO of Stornoway Diamonds, where he oversaw the construction of Quebec's very first diamond mine. But really what truly sets Patrick apart, in my mind, is his courage to care philosophy. As a mining engineer and as a chartered director, he has proven that placing people and safety at the heart of production isn't just the right thing to do, but it's the key to turning complex technical challenges into sustainable corporate growth. Patrick, it's absolute honor to have you on this podcast. I'm really pleased you could join us. I know that you've been an incredibly busy guy over the last number of years with New Gold. And when I reached out to you to invite you to the podcast, I was a little concerned that you'd just be too busy to join us. So thank you so much for making some of your time available to share some of your thoughts and especially the courage to care piece. I really want to explore a little bit with you. But let's open the discussion asking you a really straightforward question. In that busy schedule you have, what made you say yes to come onto this podcast and to join myself and Greg and talk about joy in the workplace and joy in our employees and joy in how we deliver great success, just like you have done? What is it that convinced you to join us?
Uh, First, our relationship, right? So it's tough to say no. Uh, Second thing too is, is we can refer to health and safety. We can refer to all business matters. It's things should not be painful in life. I think it's as a leader. I'm not saying that we should be a clown, but I think everybody should be a bit of CFO, a chief fund officer. In other words, we need to have this approach where it's the same. If I start with the courage to care, it's something that it's really important for me because I lost friends at work and pretty early in my career when I was an executive. And it's the guys with who I work as a minor. And I said, and it changed my way to look at relationship at work. I'm not saying that I was always not the best player of my hockey team, by example, but I think that I want to be known as the best leader. And so, and I was doing thing to win. I was not doing thing to score the goal, the winning goal. And as a minor, I think, and as a supervisor after that, and after the main manager after that, and furthermore, I think is to go back home safe and to we're working to build our family, to provide to them a better future. No reason to compromise on your health to do this. And I strongly believe that a business that is performing it with high safety standard is a business that is profitable and efficient. It's not going against the productivity. And but people always seeing safety as a roadblock, as something that will not let you fully exercise your potential. It's totally the opposite. And to do this, I think I work on to implement health and safety management system and stuff. Yes, we need system, but if it's not coming from here, means nothing. So the courage to care is the definition of integrity. Is what you're doing when nobody's looking at you. It's mainly this, and also, and you have and to have the courage to care for yourself is one thing, but to have the courage to care for others is another thing. You need a lot of drive to do this, a lot of courage to say to Ray, "Hey Ray, I think stop it. I think that the way you're set up, you're gonna have an incident. We're gonna restart it, and we're gonna help you." Majority of people having experience will say, "Ah, you know nothing about my health. I'm better than you, so I know what I'm doing. So get the hell out of here." But at the end of the day, it's the day after probably the person will call you back to say thank you for what you did for me. But it was not enough because I think it was I met when I was at Pretium, a colleague who recommended to me to talk with someone, and they were using the positive attitude safety system, and we're coming about joy here. So it was what flipped all this process to make it fun. So I think more you talk about safety, more you're confident to talk about safety, better you are. And it's the same when we have to educate our children. If every time they're doing something that is not right, we hammer them doing that. Yes, they will do because it's what my friend Ray is calling peer leadership. Okay. But if you work hard to recognize the good behaviors, what is the interest to reproduce bad behavior? And it's mainly this that changed. And I think it's all coming to have fun. And now in the organization where I work, guys in the morning when they are doing the toolbox meeting and stuff, they're having fun. So because it's a pleasure to go to work, and also it's an honor to help a colleague to work safely. So I think it's mainly is how important it is for me to be positive. Is I think it's changing. We are spending 1/3 of our life at work. Why it should be painful? So it should be interesting. It's colleagues are brothers. So basically, it's how do we and sisters? How do we work it out together, and how can we have fun around this? So that's why I'm saying that the role of a good leader sometimes is to be a CFO, a chief fund officer.
I love that. One thing that came to mind, was, I mean, so many people aren't happy, going to work and, they're not having fun. And Ray always says, like, why do anything if you can't have fun doing it? I mean, I love the chief fun officer. I call myself a chief joy officer. And I serve as a chief joy officer for my clients. And I love that you're creating an environment where people are comfortable having fun because I mean they've even linked emotional safety and joy to physical safety. The happier you are, the more comfortable you are at work, the easier it is to speak up and share things that may, end up affecting, someone's physical safety or your own. You mentioned a lot. I mean, unpack that's a lot to unpack. We could spend the whole time, and maybe we will, unpacking what you just shared. I love recognizing good behaviors. And Ray, I can't remember if this is something that you said or maybe a past guest, but it's like catch your team doing great things as opposed to catching them doing wrong things, right? Because typically leaders, excuse me, the fear of leadership, we're kind of often wired that way. Here, here's what you did wrong. Here's what you can do better. But what if we continue to recognize those good behaviors and catch them doing great stuff, right? So I love that. I love the way that you shared all of that and how you infuse joy into everything you do.
Yeah, for sure, Greg. We especially in our industry, in mining and construction, we absolutely are conditioned to go out and fix things that are not working well. And yes, that's important to make sure that things are optimized and that people are working safely. But we also got to go out there and catch people doing good things and celebrate that. And I think Patrick was particularly good at that. Patrick, I remember when we were working with you, still at Bruce Jack. I mean, whenever you and Jacques were at the mine, man, you were at the lineup meetings first thing in the morning, and you'd be there again in the evening. Like it was a top priority for you, from what we could see, to spend time with the frontline worker, to spend time with the frontline supervisor, and you appear to put a really, really high priority on that. Talk to us a little bit about, as the CEO and COO of these significant companies, how you find the time for that, and why did you make that concerted effort to connect with those people?
Because business is people for me. I learned pretty early in my career. I had the chance to. I'm coming from a modest environment, and I had the chance to be surrounded by good people who are having good values. But a miner can have a good life without a GM, but a GM he can do nothing without miners. So basically, it's and and I fully respect this. You can have the best all truck. We can pay $7-8 million US for a big Caterpillar gold plated shiny truck. If the guy doesn't want to drive it, you're wasting your money. It's all based on people. And the thing is, the people, the main value driver of a business are the employees. The best return that I got is in training and in diamond drilling. So basically, the best way to create value for shareholders is this. And it's all based on people, on talent, and the level of engagement of people at work. And I care for them. I want to add, I said, for me, I'm investing a lot of time to know the majority of the employee by their name, to know if they have a kid who's doing a sport. For me, it's important to build this bridge with people because it's the bridge that is bringing us to the next step. I'm not dealing with a number. I'm dealing with a folks like me, and I think it's when it's felt. I think it's a big change for people. It's important.
It almost sounds like the balance between humanity and high performance, kind of like, how do you have those conversations, with your team? I remember, Ray invited me to speak in front of his panel of senior level mining executives, and one guy said, Greg, I love the idea of joy and leadership. I believe in it. But how am I supposed to talk to my guys on the front line, the miners, about joy? And I said, well, that's a great question, right? And I said, well, maybe it's not using the word joy if that's not kind of how you're already talking. But, maybe, and there's lots of different ways to boil it down. But, one, I said, do you really care about your employees? And of course he did. And I said, well, do they know how much you care about them? And how do you kind of have that conversation or what do those conversations look like? Because just to ask one of your team members, to go up and say, "Hey, are you happy at work? Do you enjoy coming to work?" That's a big question, right? And people will shy away from it if they're not happy at work because they feel they'll get fired if they're that honest. But how does a leader, how do you take responsibility for creating an environment where they're comfortable sharing that? Like, I'd love to hear, some more specifics as to what those conversations, even the toolbox meetings that you partake in, it sounds like often.
I had to work with First Nation in my life. To gain the trust, by example, I had to work involved with the Cree in Quebec who are pretty sophisticated, and the Inuits is the same. To gain the trust, you should prove it.
Mhm.
It's not because I'm having a nice tie, and I'm speaking well that for them it's bullshit. I will gain trust by my action or the way that I react. The thing is, if you want to, what is important, I think, as a team is to know how to deal with how to lose and how to win. And if you have the chance to, and you work with the guys, and it's a little victory they achieve, they delivered. I would say the shutdown on time safely, and they did a good job. And the next one, you arrive, and the guys, because they had more work than expected, because they discover more problems than expected, and it took more time. So how do you manage that with that? So you say you failed, or you say, "Hi guys, I'm extremely proud of you because quality first, safety first." So you extend by 2 hours, but can you imagine how many hours we save on the other side because it's going to be an unplanned shutdown at the end of the day because we're going to have a shortfall of production. So to encourage people in at their level and say and when they are facing a bit difficulties, hey, a year ago you don't remember, but you did this. You can do this now. So yes, yes, we can. So it's what was, and I saw that when I arrived at New Gold, the guys they were walking out of the bus and they were totally terrified. Well, it's another bad day. It's going to be a shitty day. Crusher would be done again. So and after 6 months, investing time and effort with them on a day-to-day basis, on night shift, as Ray said, etc. The guys that were coming at work, hey guys, gonna see today is gonna be a good day. Yes, we can do this. We can because we did yesterday. We can do today again. So it's it's all this build this confidence, this trust. I strongly believe it's here. It's not the color of the truck who will make the difference. It's not the side that who build the equipment. It's all you are assessing problems, and when you can flip your people and the problem is becoming a challenge, it's where you have a little win in terms of leader.
I love that. It's like you really build them up, you lift them up, and an expression I've been using is you call them up. You not call them out, which is judgmental, that's pointing the finger, that's pointing out the mistakes. Not calling them out, but you really call them up and bring them up and lift them up. That's an incredible ability as a leader.
But Greg, also when you build this type of confidence and environment, after that you can sit with the guys. Hey guys, we're gonna cut the bullshit here. We did a shitty job here, you
Yeah,
know. And
right.
after that they can accept that. No, but after that we doesn't mean that you should not say the, wo- the what you should have to say. But when you have this confidence, yes, I guess, and we don't say you say we. That's the difference too, because you're part of it. I think a good leader is a person who is on the front line when things are not going well, and is backseated when things are going well. Is you're not taking the light for it.
Yeah, and Patrick, watching how you engaged with some of those people that were on some of our leadership programs that we led for your people, like you had a real interest in what they were doing. You would talk to them about the goals they're working on. You would talk to them about their high payoff activities, and I think that sent a message of you really caring for them. You took an interest in them. I was impressed by how much you knew about some of your workers and their personal lives. And I think it's that kind of real courage to care and actively caring for these people that really makes a difference. And then people want to do good things for you, because you're interested in them, and now they become invested in you. So it was such a pleasure watching how you did that and how you empowered people to be self accountable.
Yeah, I just an anecdote. I met a guy, I think 3 months ago, who was working at Pretium with us, who is now working for a contractor at Rainy River. And I asked him, where do you stand with your personal goal with leadership development? I remember that it was his goal was to run X kilometers. So where do you stand? You look at me. You remember that? Yes, I remember. So it's uh, it's uh, it's something that is important. So to me,
So Patrick, having come through a number of really busy years in your career, and having a little bit of time to take a breath now, I hope. Looking back, is there a particular moment, or maybe a couple of moments that you can talk to us about in your career, where you really felt a good sense, a pure sense of joy in what you were doing?
I have two. We'll say that it was. You know, in beginning of 2000, I moved to South America to develop a project, and it did not go well. I'm not saying that it was not. I had a lot of front wind in terms of social acceptability. On a design point of view, it's probably the best project ever I'm gonna have the chance to develop. We were never able to receive the permits and to get the approval because the social acceptability was extremely difficult. Subsequently, I moved as a CEO of a nickel project in northern Quebec in the Arctic, and I think we did extremely well. But arrived the commercial paper crisis, and we were short of cash, so we had to stop construction. So it was the first time of my life that I had two knockout back to back. And it was tough on me. And personally, I'm a proud guy, and I participate to the construction of the second gold mine in Burkina in West Africa. I'm talking about joy and talking about satisfactions after 2 years. What was key for them, it was training. And I invest a lot of time and effort to train them. And I was so proud to see how they perform. They perform over my expectation. They were extremely honored and proud of their job, of their employment. And my biggest joy is, and I was a bit shy, is the farewell party they did to me when I left. So it was up to me. Talk really about this type of generosity for people who are giving something that they cannot afford because they're proud of. I think it was a high level of the joy for me. The second one that was a bit the opposite is because we talk about his was the CEO at that time of Stornoway Diamonds, and we had to file a CCAA. We had to file bankruptcy, and it was tough, and it was a project that was nicely built. Commission. We ended this project 5 months ahead of schedule, $32 million under budget. It was a beautiful mine, so it was really well organized. It was designed to have low operating costs, and we achieved our objectives. But the commodity was diamond is really complicated. The price started to face front winds too, and it was difficult for us. But my great stuff is the guy was the VP Ops. He asked me to go to the mine. He said, Pat, it's gonna be nice if you can. I know that you don't have the time because I was dealing with court and stuff. And he said, I will really like you to go. You need to come to the mine. So I did the back and forth in one day. And when I arrived at the mine, so he picked me up at the airport and he drove me in the maintenance facility. And all the employees were there, all of them. And they just said to me, Pat, don't take care of the business. We're gonna deliver for you. Save the business. We are all behind you. And I had 610 employees, and during the 6 month period, none of them resigned. And they were solicited to have job elsewhere. None of them. They all stayed, and they all support me. I support them, but they support me. You talk about a great moment of joy. You will say, Pat, it's a CCAA. It's a bankruptcy. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about proud people, women and men, who stick behind me and they support me all the way. So it was two moments of joy and happiness for me that were pretty incredible.
But that must have been incredible. You must have felt that. That must have felt really good. I felt it when you shared it. That's incredible.
You after that you cannot give up.
No,
It's impossible.
there's no way. Oh, wow. One thing I'd love to ask, because I think, you've given us a really good sense of how you kind of create and cultivate joy, for your team. I'd love to know kind of what blocks joy for you and do you think for your team? What are those, and how do you remove those blocks? I'd love to share some insights on that.
It's an excellent question, and it's a difficult answer. Uh, what is difficult is not what block me. People who are fake, people who lies, people who are not themselves. People who are negative, people who are bashing on others. I don't want to be associated with that, and I don't have time to lose with that. The problem is, it's easy to say, but it's not always. They are still burning a bit of your energy. So it's and you have and when you're leading this type of person, you have to accept that, and badly the majority of the time, we know you have the rules where you have 20% of your people who are driving the other 80, so mostly, and we spend more time, and you have 10% who are pumping the brakes. So basically, you have 10 who are negative, 20 who are positive, and 70 that are influenced. And majority of the time, we spend a lot of time on the 10. What I learned pretty early is I spend the majority of my time on the 20.
Yeah.
So, and I dilute the 10. Is what I try to do with this, because and my friends, people who are around me, are not people who are fancy. They are people where you don't need a lot to be happy.
Yeah.
Is me what I really like to do in life. I like cooking. I
Oh,
like music, I like stuff, but I like cooking. But I like cooking, and I'm cooking with my wife. But I like to be fancy. But because I think that you don't have better food than the food that you prepare for people you love. And I can give you $100. You will say thank you. But if I'm spending all my Saturday to prepare a good meal for you, and I'm do a good pairing for the wine and etc. I dress the table and I welcome you. I think it's different. So it's
a lot of love goes into cooking. It's like my parents, they're gourmet cooks as well. They love cooking for their kids. They love cooking for our spouses or grandkids. I think the next conversation, Pat, is going to be when you move back to Montreal. Ray and I are going to drive out there for a little in-person conversation and experience your cooking. I'm starving right now.
it's
Great
gonna be a
conversation.
pleasure.
Yeah, oh,
It's
man.
gonna be a pleasure.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Great conversation and great food. And some
Yeah.
big laughs along the way. It doesn't be nothing beats that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about the love for your love for family and love for cooking and how you put your heart into those things. But Pat, I've watched you have that same love for your people in the workplace. Oftentimes people are afraid to use that kind of language in the workplace. But you understand, just like I do, that before you can lead your people effectively, you first need to love your people. And I think you use the term courage to care not just as a motto or a logo, but it's something that you lived, and it was such a privilege for me to see you live out that courage to care in how you shepherded your people and held them accountable at the same time. And it's incredible to see how that courage to care actually instills that accountability in people. If there was one or two parting sort of thoughts you'd like to leave with other executives, budding CEOs or COOs listening to this podcast, in terms of living that courage to care and really loving the people that you work with, what would you share with them?
Thing is, I talk to you about business is people. Always keep in mind that it's what is driving value for your company and for the future. And I think that I always start with at the beginning for that people are working with faith. So people are good. And so sometimes people are making judgment before to know someone. And everybody's having the chance to realign, if I can say that, if he's not doing well. In your training, Ray, I'm still, because I was doing that, but in different form, but I'm still using your sheep tell me about it. And because what I like with the tell me about it, you're not saying to Greg, you're not doing it. This is not well. You're doing shit. Da 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 da. In your role, this is what we should achieve, and I think that you can do better on this. How can I help you? My job is to build someone. Is it's people, and the success that I'm finding is that when this person is overperforming, because if it's this person is and the person is finding satisfaction to do this. So the thing is, it's easy to use people. I'm seeing a lot of people is burn me when we terminate people. Why was that good? Did you talk to him? No. What are you doing? Is you're wasting a lot of talent here. Maybe the person was not comfortable. Maybe it was at home that it was not working too. So it's nothing to do about the fact that he's a red seal and is having all the skills to do the job. The thing is, don't judge people too quickly. Try to know him a bit. Build a bridge. What I'm telling you. Build a bridge. And after that, when the people are terminated for cause, me what as it's if I respect the tell me about it, if I work to build this person, and at the end of the day, the person is terminated because he bypassed rules or whatever, it's his decision. It's not mine. So it's easy for me. What is difficult for me is a layoff because I'm working with Free since a while. He was dedicated, and I don't have job anymore. I'm gonna work as a hell to find a new job elsewhere for him before to let him go. It's what is difficult because I ask this person, I invest with this person, I ask this person a lot. He trusts me. I have the feeling that I betray him because I'm not having job anymore for him. So the thing is, keep in mind that business is people, and we should don't judge people too quickly. You're there to build them, so they're not spare parts that you can change. The second thing too is you have for sure you have this line that you should preserve as a supervisor when you're dealing with people, but we can have fun at work. It's no fun is not necessarily to be a clown again, but you have little things. Is when you do a shutdown and the guys are in difficult conditions, to make sure that lunchtime they have a hot coffee pot, it costs nothing. Okay? But it's just showing that you care, you know? Or the fact that you're coming with sandwich or donuts in the middle of the shift. I did that when I was thinking a chef and the guys, we were that difficult times, coffee pot and donuts from Tim Horton. It costs peanuts. But for them, they got taking care for us, Or little things who are making difference. You're not a number, you're a human. Thing is, at at all steps, a supervisor can make a huge difference, a colleague can make a huge difference, or just little things.
Thank you, Pat. That's really helpful. You just reinforced the point that at the heart of our business, whether you in mining or construction or in advertising, it's about people and put people first, but do it sincerely. And I think that's what you've shared with us. So thank you for your insights and thank you for being that inspirational, people focused leader. It's a pleasure to work with people like you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Pat, this has been such a grounded, thoughtful, and powerful conversation. I've loved every minute of it. And what I appreciate most is that you've shown that leadership doesn't have to lose its humanity in order to, achieve extraordinary results. And in many ways, humanity may be the main reason extraordinary results are even possible. So thanks for sharing your wisdom, as Ray said, and your perspective and your heart with us today. I mean, you kind of led, early on, by touching your heart. I love that. And I see that's how you lead. You lead from your heart, not just your head. So, and Ray, thank you again for co-hosting another incredible conversation and for continuing to help us bring such exceptional leaders and human beings into the JOY² community. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And everyone listening, thank you for your time, your energy, and your presence. So, there's something powerful in today's conversation that I hope stays with you long after this episode ends. And it's the idea that high performance and deep humanity can exist together, that caring isn't weakness, that empathy doesn't lower standards, and that the courage to care may actually be one of the greatest leadership strengths we have. So, if something from this conversation resonated with you, don't just admire it intellectually. Don't let it sit on the shelf. Act on it, Have the conversation, show the appreciation, lead with more intention, create the environment you wish more people experience, because joy isn't a reward for success. It's the fuel for success. So thanks for being here with us today. And as always, live, work, and lead with more joy intentionally. We'll see you next time on JOY². Cheers. Thanks for spending this time with us on JOY², where joy multiplies and everything gets better. Remember, joy isn't just something you feel. It's something you create, and it's something you pass on. If this conversation sparks something in you, share it, because joy is contagious. What we're building here is bigger than a podcast. It's a reminder and a movement that how we live, work, and lead truly matters. Until next time, live with joy, lead with purpose, and never forget to have fun. Keep choosing JOY². And if you're enjoying the journey, we'd be grateful if you subscribe, like, and share JOY² so the ripple keeps spreading.